Annette Funicello, the pure icon of Disney, the dream princess of millions of American audiences, once captivated the world with her sweet smile and flawless image. However, behind the sparkling stage lights is a cruel truth that few people know. Annette once faced offers of sex for roles, and a shocking sex scandal that almost sank her career. In this video, we will reveal the truth about Annette Funicello that you never knew. In the mid-1960s, when the Hollywood aura was brighter than ever, the name Annette Funicello resounded as a living symbol of American beauty. After her success with Disney and the famous beach series with Frankie Avalon, Annette entered the most brilliant period of her career, a moment when every director and producer wanted her in their project. Her angelic face, deep blue eyes, tan skin, and pure charm captivated the public and professionals. It was during that period that Annette accepted to participate in a blockbuster film set in the ocean, a large project with a huge budget, filmed for a long time on an isolated island off the coast of California. The film required a wild natural setting, almost no media signals, a space almost completely isolated from the outside world. And there, fate brought her to meet the man who would change her life forever. He was the executive producer of the project, a man who had won many awards, was powerful in the film industry, and was known for his sharpness in his work. Despite being in his 40s, his demeanor was still admirable, worldly, calm, and always keeping a proper distance. He came to the island with his crew, while his wife and 2 children remained in Los Angeles, where he lived in a luxurious villa with an image of a perfect family that was constantly praised by the media. Their first meeting took place on the beach when the crew took a break at the end of the day's shooting. Annette, still in a thin swimsuit, was sitting alone on the sand, watching the sunset in the distance. He approached, not as a producer, but as a normal man attracted to a girl who was too lonely in that simulated paradise. The first conversation didn't talk much about movies. They told each other stories about their childhoods, about the pressure of being famous too early, about dreams they hadn't lived. She talked about being trapped in the image of a Disney angel, where mistakes weren't allowed or love the wrong person. He talked about feeling trapped in a passionless marriage, where everything was right, but there was no emotion. The following evenings, they would quietly leave the film crew party, walk together under the moonlight, share feelings that no one else could understand. And then, after just a few weeks, from the first glance, from small gestures like a light touch on the shoulder or a smile when meeting familiar eyes, a feeling arose silently, intensely, and dangerously. Their relationship began like a quiet wind. No one knew, no one suspected. They cleverly hid themselves during group meals, sent each other handwritten notes instead of text messages, and chose secluded corners in nature to be together. But like anything in Hollywood, where no secret can be kept forever, what had to happen happened. One day, an assistant accidentally caught them sitting next to each other after a night shoot. Rumors spread like wildfire. Although both tried to deny it, the intimate photos that were leaked afterward, Annette's happy smile as she leaned on his shoulder, or his affectionate gaze towards her in a behind-the-scenes moment, destroyed all denials. When the news reached Los Angeles, his wife immediately left the mansion and filed for divorce within a week. Annette became the focus of public criticism, the once icon goddess now labeled as the person who ruined other people's happiness. Film contracts were suspended, brands turned their backs on her, and Disney, which once considered her a real daughter, remained coldly silent. But what was more painful was that the relationship, although it started with sincere feelings, could not overcome the storm of public opinion and prejudice. He chose to withdraw from the industry in silence. As for Annette Funicello, although she still smiled brightly at later events, she carried a void that has never been filled. The media has also pondered many times, was it a mistake or a love born at the wrong time? No one knows for sure. Only knowing that, somewhere among the waves of the past, there still echoes the laughter, the eyes, of someone in Annette Funicello's mind. In the mid-1960s, when the beach movie boom was in full swing and Annette Funicello was at the height of her fame, a tense confrontation took place behind the scenes. In a film project in the Beach Party series, the producer planned to upgrade Annette's image from an innocent muse to a sex symbol, to compete directly with names like Brigitte Bardot and Raquel Welch, who were dominating the screen with their daring looks. The script was edited at the last minute, adding a series of daring bikini scenes and a scene where she had to dance in a costume described as more revealing than ever. When Annette read those scenes, she immediately objected. For her, the image she had built was not just a commercial tool but also a commitment to millions of young viewers who had grown up with her image on the Mickey Mouse Club. She felt that accepting those sexy scenes was tantamount to betraying the trust of the public, especially the parents who always saw her as an ideal daughter. The producer's reaction was immediately cold and threatening. Another beach goddess was chosen to replace her, and her name was removed from the internal promotional list. The atmosphere was so tense that Disney had to intervene as a mediator, knowing that the scandal could seriously affect the image of its favorite child. In the eyes of many co-stars, Annette is not only Disney's darling, but also the one who is always chosen for the main role, always favored by the director, and always praised by the audience. Some actresses think that she does not need to try too hard to be famous, simply because she is too beautiful, too innocent, and always maintains a perfect image to the point of annoyance. That unintentionally creates a wave of jealousy behind the scenes. An incident that happened right before the live recording of a nationally broadcast music show is considered the peak of this jealousy. According to an anonymous backstage staff, Annette's performance costume, which was custom-made and kept in the dressing room, disappeared strangely just a few minutes before the broadcast. In a panic, she had to borrow an ill-fitting spare outfit, and although she went on stage and performed as if nothing had happened, close-knit audiences noticed that Annette seemed less confident and less radiant than usual. Although no one dared to publicly admit her mistake, backstage sources confirmed that the outfit had been hidden by a female colleague who had been dropped from the lead role just a few months earlier. Annette never spoke out about the incident, and even thanked the crew for helping her adapt in time. In 1960, an accident almost took the life of Annette Funicello while filming Beach Party. The incident happened on a sunny day at Zuma Beach, Malibu, a popular outdoor filming location for beach movies. Annette, who had no real experience with a surfboard at the time, was instructed to do a simple surfing scene close to shore. Although she had a stunt double for more dangerous scenes, the director, in an effort to create authenticity, wanted to get a few close-ups of her performing the move for real. At first, everything went smoothly. Annette kept her balance on the board, and the audience cheered from afar as if it were a real performance. But then, a wave suddenly came, larger than expected. She lost control, fell hard into the water, and unfortunately hit her head on a coral reef near the edge of the shore. Annette lost consciousness for a moment, and the entire set fell into chaos. A member of the rescue team dove in and pulled her to shore while paramedics rushed to the scene. Blood was pouring from her forehead, sand was all over her, and she was barely responsive. It was clear to everyone that tragedy was about to strike in the midst of what seemed like the happiest, most perfect scene. However, just a few hours after being taken to the local hospital, she regained consciousness. Fortunately, the collision did not cause serious intracranial damage, just a deep laceration and a mild concussion. But the fear was still deeply ingrained in her mind and the production team. Instead of announcing the incident, the media team decided to remain completely silent. No articles were reported, no press releases were issued. Behind-the-scenes images of that day's filming were also carefully edited. Because for the producer, Annette could not appear weak or in distress, she was the symbol of summer, the symbol of invincibility. After the incident, Annette continued filming the remaining scenes as if nothing had happened, even though she was still in pain and had to wear heavy makeup to cover the wound. Not everyone knows that during her prime, Annette had faced many indecent proposals, suggestions that seemed polite but were actually a naked exchange of power and dignity. Once, after an audition for a major project outside of Disney, she was invited by a famous producer to have a private dinner to discuss the role in more detail. Annette, then in her early 20s, still carrying the innocence of a good girl coming from the Disney roof, felt that something was wrong. And she was right. At the hotel where the private work evening was promised, the meal quickly turned into a flirtation full of hidden meanings. The powerful man, instead of talking about the script, started mentioning that the role requires genuine emotions and deep understanding between the actor and the director, phrases used as a screen to cover up the true nature of the solicitation. When Annette flatly refused, he simply smirked and ended the meeting with a vague statement, "You know, in Hollywood, if you know how to please the right person, your career will never be in trouble." Annette left quietly, feeling hurt not only because of the personal insult, but also because she saw clearly for the first time the dark side of the world she was living in. As one of the few artists who were loyal to a pure image, she always tried to protect herself from the spiral of hypocrisy, but that also meant she had to say no to many great opportunities just because she refused to compromise. Such experiences not only made Annette mature faster, but also helped her build a steadfast image of a woman who dared to stand up in a treacherous Hollywood, choosing to keep her dignity instead of trading it for glory. And perhaps, that is what made her image last in the hearts of audiences for many generations, not only because she was the first Mickey Mouse, but because she lived truthfully, loved truthfully, and fought truthfully to keep the purest part of herself in the never-ending spotlight. If you find Annette Funicello's video interesting and meaningful, please leave a number 1 as a motivation for us to continue writing about the actors. If you feel Annette's strength, please leave a comment number 1, and don't forget to like and subscribe to give us more motivation to continue telling other true stories from Hollywood.